All right. We'll get to see as a couple people come in, and maybe after a minute we will get started. I want to start these eventually. I want to get an athlete DJ. Get us started with some music while we wait.
Fantastic.
Hey, Katie, did you know there's only 3 of us? There's only 4 of us going. Me and Sean Monahan, Ron Manila, and a guy named Trezon or somebody, another athletes. There's only 4.
Oh, wow.
That's it from our area. And we have 200 athletes going to the World Berlin.
Wow. So
And the biggest group of us, the biggest team right now is golf because we have a total of 20.
Wow. Any friends from Abu Dhabi that are going to be going as well? Do you know?
No. Yeah, maybe one. Christine, the coach from golf.
Oh,
Christine Judge.
good. That'll be fun.
All new people.
Well, that's exciting too.
Yeah.
You'll be their role model.
Yeah, I'm going to meet them in San Antonio, Texas on November 18th to 21st.
Oh, wow.
Right before Thanksgiving.
So you guys are having training camp?
Yes, the 18th and 21st November at San Antonio, Texas for the World Games. We're having training camp so people can meet each other. Yes. We can go to I want to try to get some of this mindfulness into our golf team because it will help us be a better team than when we need to get a strong team for each team. Got to think what inside the box of what, like, do you remember what they did? Do you remember those drawings we did for each person? Each team had to do a drawing.
Yes.
I might suggest that when I'm there and suggest them to do a picture of a drawing from each sport and see if they can draw tell them where they're from and where they're from, because that'd be cool, like what we did.
Yeah, that would be a wonderful icebreaker. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Did you keep any of those drawings?
No, I didn't.
All right. We are almost 3 minutes into our live. We have a few people kind of coming in and out. So we are going to get started. So welcome to the second Special Olympics Virginia Town Hall Talk. We're excited to welcome everyone here who's tuning in. So town halls are really for athletes, parents, caregivers of Special Olympics Virginia. And during these times, the last Tuesday of every month, we jump on with a subject matter expert or subject matter experienced person to talk about a topic that is relevant within the community alongside an athlete or a family member at Special Olympics. We'll talk about health, fitness, independent living, leadership, building positive habits, and other areas of fitness and health. And tonight we are with former Special Olympics Virginia staff member Katie Botha and World Games champion golfer that everyone knows, Grace Ann Braxton, to talk about mindfulness. And we are thrilled to have both of you with us.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really excited to be back in the world of Special Olympics because it's been a while for me.
And I'm happy to be here too.
I know. The last time I saw Grace Ann was when we were coming back home from World Games in Abu Dhabi. So that's been a while.
Yeah. Since COVID. Well, I'm going to kick it over to you, ladies, and get us started into our space of mindfulness.
Okay, wonderful. And so can everybody see? Okay, so everybody on Facebook is able to see the
correct
slides. Okay, fantastic. Yes. Then I will help walk you through them. So since I don't know who's on the Facebook watching us right now, I will just start off by doing a quick introduction of myself. The first picture of me sitting in a meditative pose is actually at the send-off fair the morning that we left for Abu Dhabi for World Games. And we did a group activity for everybody that was in the U.S. delegation. And we did a little bit of yoga, a little bit of breathing, and it was just like Grace and I were talking before we got started. It was just another way that we kind of bonded together as a team. There's nothing more simple than using our breath. There's also an element of vulnerability to that. So, and trust, right? Because a lot of times you close your eyes. And it's funny because at the fair, we were doing all sorts of fun stuff. We were coloring, we were talking, we were meeting some new people. There were some like semi-celebrities there. We were playing soccer. We were doing all sorts of fun stuff. And then, you know, you heard this sound and everyone was quiet. And we took out some pillows and we just like had a few moments of quiet together. And it was really, really wonderful. So I'm excited to know that Grace Ann remembers that. And obviously
I don't remember doing it.
But it was a really nice moment. And it was something that we drew on when we were at the airport together and we were feeling nervous, or if we were on the plane and we were feeling nervous, and even if we were at competitions and we were feeling nervous. So it was a really great moment for me. And then the next slide talks about my career. So if anybody of you remember me from Special Olympics, you might not know this about me, but I've lived all over the world. But it's been a while. I've been back in Richmond for almost 18 years, I guess. And I'm originally from here. But I worked in sports media when I lived in France. I worked for Eurosport Television. I worked for Right to Play when I lived in East Africa. The longest I've ever worked anywhere is with Special Olympics Virginia. And I gotta say, it was some of the best years of my life. And now I work part-time at my kids' school, St. Mary's, which is right around the corner from our headquarters. It's not far at all. And I am still married to my husband, East. I still have two great kiddos, East and Caroline, who kind of grew up in the world of Special Olympics. We do a lot of traveling, and I went to UVA, and I also went and did some grad school at U of R. So I am still a big, huge fan of Special Olympics. I am still a lifelong cheerleader. We just started a cheering squad at St. Mary's, and that's been really fun for me and my daughter to do together. I'm still a mom and a caregiver. I am trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction, also referred to as MBSR. But I am not a trainer, so I can just kind of tell you what that has done for my life, and it's been wonderful. I am also currently a practicing Catholic. That has not always been the case, but actually mindfulness brought me back to my religion, and I'm really grateful about that. So I've already said I am not a mindfulness trainer. I am not a Strong Minds clinical director, but I have participated in Strong Minds as a facilitator. I am not a special needs parent. I am not currently a Special Olympics coach, and I promise I'm not trying to convert you. A couple years ago when I got back from World Games in Abu Dhabi, I was volunteering doing some Strong Minds activities at Summer Games. And I definitely could feel that some people were like, had a level of maybe some misconceptions, or just they weren't totally comfortable with the idea of mindfulness. And some people can, and I understand that they might think that it's a little fringe out there, a little woo-woo. And someone even was like, no, thank you, I'm a Jesus girl. And like, that's fine. That's okay. I'm a Jesus girl too, but you can also practice mindfulness. In fact, some people call it centering prayer. I have friends of all different religions that have a mindfulness practice. So mindfulness can feel spiritual and even perhaps religious to some people. It reminded me of group prayer, which is how it kind of helped me come back to my faith. But there's nothing alternative really about mindfulness. It's about neuroscience. It's about using your breath. It's about quiet. It's about introspection, but it can also be about connecting with others. So we'll talk a little bit about what mindfulness is and how it can exist in a Special Olympics context. And so this is just to kind of show you a really special moment that I had in the desert at Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi in 2019. So just as a reminder, if you are a Special Olympics athlete or a Special Olympics coach or a Special Olympics parent, anyone within the Special Olympics movement, I see you, I know you, and it's so amazing. It can lead to so many wonderful relationships and experiences. So even though I don't work there anymore, it's still a big part of my life. And I refer back to it with my kids and my family and my friends all the time. And I talked a little bit about this with Grace Ann. We were reminiscing. This is the moment that we did a huge group meditation in New Jersey before we took off on the long flight from New Jersey to Abu Dhabi. And for some people, it was their first flight ever. So they may have come from like New York or one of the surrounding states, and they drove to New Jersey, and they've never even gotten on a plane before. And certainly it was a lot of people's first experience in the Middle East. It was my first experience in the Middle East, and we had practiced a lot of things about what felt different about that culture, what felt different about that language. We had done a lot of things to learn about the experiences that we were about to have together. But that didn't make it any easier sometimes to deal with those feelings of anxiety or fear or any of those things. So learning how to tap into our breath and support each other and have moments of quiet, and even sometimes sitting through the discomfort, that can be mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't always knowing absolute peace. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was talking about anxiety being really a good thing and not something that you should fight, right? Anxiety can be really helpful in our life. Fear can be really helpful. We need to have fear of things that are going to be potentially dangerous or risky. So it has its role in our life. But what mindfulness can help us to do is to welcome any emotion that bubbles up, whether it be fear or joy or excitement or any of those things, and learn to welcome that emotion and kind of sit in that emotion. And the person that I was listening to compared it to riding a wave and surfing. And I don't really know how to surf exactly, but I know what it's like to be in the ocean and to know that like a wave's going to come through and it's going to pass and then it's going to be gone. And another wave will come and it will pass and it will be gone. And we've all experienced ranges of emotion. I have experienced fear and anxiety a million times in my life. And here I am in this very moment, not experiencing that. So I know through mindfulness and through other techniques that we can use in our life that no matter what emotion comes up and no matter what situation, my mind and my breath can be tools to bring me into the present and to know that I can make it through whatever I'm feeling. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, we can keep going. So I'll touch briefly on my work at the Inner Work Center. And the Inner Work Center is based here in Richmond, Virginia, and we offer in-person and online classes to anyone and everyone. And we offer free drop-ins throughout the week. We also offer paid programs where you can learn things like MBSR. That's where I learned mindfulness-based stress reduction. And you can learn all of the science behind it. You can learn together. You can ask a million questions. You can learn from experts. You can practice. And then we have awesome keynote speakers come and talk on all sorts of topics, but it's a great way to meet other people that are also interested in mindfulness. And access and inclusion is really a big part of what we do as well. So if you ever have any time or you want to ask me about it, I'd love to talk to you about the Inner Work Center. It's been really transformational in my life. And I'm just a big believer in all the different things that you can experience there. And it's not just mindfulness. There's all sorts of topics that you can kind of delve into. One of my favorite things that we do there, if you go to the next slide, I think I talk about it, is called Soul Collage. And my friend Cheryl Grosswright does that. And it's about using art to kind of express our feelings. And I've loved doing that throughout different periods of my life just to see kind of how I've evolved, because we're never exactly the same person from day to day, year to year. And Soul Collage is an artistic way of kind of exploring mindfulness and just exploring ourselves and asking some of life's big questions. And maybe not so big questions, I don't know. But it's really fun. I also really, really love all of their topics and work that they do on mindful parenting, and it's been super helpful. I do not pretend to be an expert in mindfulness. And if anyone's wondering, yes, I do still yell at my husband and my kids from time to time. But I think what mindfulness helps me to do is to recognize when I'm feeling big emotions and when maybe I haven't managed them in the best way, and to talk about them and work through them and say, I'm sorry. and kind of work through that with whoever I'm feeling those big feelings with. So again, mindfulness isn't about perfection. It's really not. I often tell everyone I'm mindful-ish. I remain a mindfulness work in progress, and that's okay. There's no right way of doing it. There's no wrong way of doing it. I have what they call a monkey mind. Like when I'm trying to be quiet, I think of a million things. But mindfulness is also about that voice that you sometimes talk to yourself in your head, about learning to make it kinder and more gracious with yourself, and to treat yourself like your most like beloved friend or pet. Like there's some meditations you can do, and you think about the person in your life that you love the most, or think about like the loyalty and the love that you have for like your dog or your cat or whatever, your plants, I don't know. And then trying to hold that emotion and then share it with yourself. That's mindfulness. It's about just accepting yourself the way that you are and thinking about ways that you can maybe be better in that moment. How can you be more calm in that moment? How can you be more accepting in that moment? And knowing that if this particular moment isn't great, just wait a minute and you have a chance to pause and move on. And that's actually kind of a good moment to bring Grace Ann into this conversation, because Grace Ann, even though I am not a golfer, I know you've never seen me play golf. I ride around on the golf cart. But I've often heard Rick Jeffrey and others who are good golfers that have golfed with you talk about how great your mental game is. And I know from my husband who plays golf and often gets frustrated with his golf game, I've heard that you're really good at, if you have a bad putt, or if you have a bad shot, you're really good at kind of accepting that, and then next hole, like move on, and it's a new opportunity. So that's
it's a new opportunity for me, because you take one hole at a time. You don't worry about what you shoot on that hole. It depends on what you do on that hole. For me, it's one shot at a time. Like, you talk about mindfulness. For me, before a big golf tournament, I do something really kind of smart, because sometimes my brain goes like 20, 30 times a minute because I got so much going on. Mm-hmm. What I do during nighttime before I play in a big tournament is like I go onto my iPad and I play like computer games. Like I do solitaire, word searches, jigsaw puzzles, something to keep my mind from not thinking about the golf game or the tournament the day after. Because if I do, my mind will go completely blank and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I just kind of do it that way. So sometimes I think about things that happen to me on the golf course. I just keep my mind focused on one hole at a time and one shot at a time, like my dad always says.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, but my friend Gina, who has her master's in mindfulness and is a yoga instructor, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She traveled up to New Jersey and led the mindfulness session with everybody. And one of the first things she did when she opened up the session was she had everybody kind of stand up, and she had them kind of pat their arms. Pat, 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 pat. And it was just a way of being like, okay, everybody here? Are we all here? And so I find myself doing that with myself or my kids. Like I was in charge of a talent show at my kids' elementary school a couple years ago. And it was like, okay, everybody kind of like get up, get the wiggles out, and just like get into the moment,
Mm-hmm.
And then she would ring the bell, right? We're all familiar with that sound. It's kind of like a calming sound. And a lot of times with kids in the room or anybody that I'm doing some meditation with, like you'll listen and you wait until it disappears.
Yeah.
And we have them raise their hand when they hear it. And kids always are like the last ones to raise their hand because they've got better hearing than we do. And so then she had everybody kind of get in a circle, and we had pillows around. You don't have to. You can stand up. You can sit down. You can lay down. You can keep your eyes open. You can keep your eyes closed, whatever you want to do. Usually you open a mindfulness session with just like a few quiet breaths. Like everybody kind of just takes a moment. Usually you'll put your feet on the ground. You find like a comfortable position, and you can keep your eyes closed. You just take a few cleansing breaths. And that's really just to kind of get everybody in the same space. And it's also a signal to your body, your mind, and your breath to literally slow down, right?
Yeah.
So we can kind of go to the next slide. And I think the next couple of slides is where I kind of talk about what can mindfulness look like. Okay, so what is it? There's so many different ways to explain what mindfulness is. But I kind of broke it down into 3 different things that it can be in the Special Olympics context. And specifically, if you look at the Strong Minds materials in the Healthy Athlete section of the Special Olympics resources site, and that's something that anybody can access. And I'm sure Casey can make it available maybe in the links in the comments or in whatever ways that you guys want to be communicated with. But the Strong Minds resources are free. They're very, very well researched. They've been tested and implemented all over the world, including in state programs in the United States. At World Games, there was definitely Strong Minds. It was one of the disciplines at the Healthy Athlete stations in Abu Dhabi. So in a Special Olympics context, it would look like breath work. It could look like positive visualization. And it could also look like support.
Yeah.
So breath work is, we can practice doing some of the animal breaths today. Visualization is imagining yourself succeeding on or off the sports field. So Gracie, do you ever visualize yourself competing before it actually happens? Do you ever think of yourself actually making a good shot or thinking about how it feels to be successful?
No, not really.
No, not really? Okay. Well, visualization is a tool where you imagine positive things, positive outcomes, because a little tricky bit about our brain. And again, I was saying, fear and anxiety aren't necessarily bad things. And our brain is programmed, wired throughout, the beginning of time. It's evolved to kind of have what we call a negative bias. So sometimes when we start having negative thoughts, for example, if somebody's having a bad day out on the golf course and they don't have the amazing mental game that Grace Ann has, they might start going, oh man, this happened to me last time. I had a horrible putt. My putting game is off. I really need to go see my golf coach. I really need to work on my swing. I really need to practice more. Man, I should, and they just kind of go down this downward spiral. And it's our brain. Our brain is programmed to have a negative bias because that can protect you in a negative situation. It'll make you, oh, the pot is hot. I shouldn't touch it. Last time I touched the pot, I burned myself. Or, oh, that's a really big, lion that's chasing me. I should run. Having a negative bias in your brain isn't anything strange. It all happens to us, but it's not super helpful all the time. So visualization can be a really powerful tool to just use positive words and positive images and to see yourself succeeding. And there's a lot of research that shows just having moments of positive visualization, either on your own, with your coach, with somebody that cares about you, with your teammate, and you can also help them to visualize success. And even if it doesn't turn out exactly the way that you visualized it, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is, right? Because there'll be another chance. There'll always be another time. And maybe it wasn't your turn to be victorious that day. Maybe it was somebody else.
Right.
But positive visualization can be really helpful if you're having a hard time focusing. And instead of thinking back to previous negative experiences, visualize thinking about a very positive future that is possible, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's something that we can do in Special Olympics.
Yeah.
So the 3 things that I was talking about: breath work, and there's some recorded meditations that you can listen to on the Healthy Athletes resources page. If you look under Strong Minds, there's visualizations exercises and there's support exercises. And I don't know if you remember, Grace Ann, but one of the things that was a huge hit every time I do it, and this is something that I got from one of the clinical directors that I met through Healthy Athletes and Strong Minds. These are little paper keychains that you can order on Amazon. And what we would do, we did this at Summer Games after World Games as well. We had stress balls that people could get.
I like those. I love those things. I have one. I have one in my room.
Yeah, they're great. And they're a great way to occupy yourself.
Yeah.
And to kind of focus on something different, right?
Yeah.
But then these are ways that we can support one another. So the activity we do with these is we have a bunch of different colors and we let people choose a color and we ask them to write down some positive words that might be applicable to their activity or their training. It might just be a kind word. It might be anything. So it could be like brave, or it could be you got this, or you're awesome, or you're so kind, or I really value you. Any of those things. So this is like just, we put kind, supportive words on these, and then we give them to our teammates. And so we all had like USA backpacks, and everybody had these on their backpacks at the airport. And when we were having moments, when we were having a hard time not focusing on how, if we were having some scary feelings, or if we were feeling nervous before a competition, a lot of times I would see athletes kind of pull these out or remind each other, hey, you're awesome. And I've done this with my kids' classes as well. And they keep these on their backpacks all year, and they love them and they treasure them. I've had kids, draw little flowers on them. So you could do words, you could do flowers, but it's a great way, like we were talking earlier, Grace Ann, about bonding with people that and you practice with all the time, or new people that you meet like at a state games or
at training camp this year.
So it's a way of like giving people kind words that can follow them back home in between the training camp and World Games. So this is a really fun activity that we do to support each other and to kind of like hold on to that support throughout a competition or throughout the year.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And so I think next we might have what's next?
I do the breath. If I get stressed or something on the golf course, I take a really deep breath to help me out before I hit my golf ball.
Yeah. Or when I am like feeling frustrated or overwhelmed, I'll often just be like, okay, I'm noticing that I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed. And so I might get up and take a short walk, but more often than not, I'll do what you just said. I'll take like a deep breath through my nose and breathe it out. And sometimes that's even a kind of if my husband hears me do that, he kind of knows like I might be having a moment, like I might just need a moment to myself. And speaking
sometimes I do that at work too. I take a deep breath before I have to do something, like somebody asks me to do something else and I have to take a deep breath. So I know I can do it.
Helps you to kind of transition from one moment to the next. So I think maybe the next slide, Casey, might be some of our animal breathing. Yes, it's Flash. Let's try it together. Okay, so you do not have to have animal friends to do animal breathing, but I happen to think it's fun. So I just tend to use these as kind of props and reminders as I teach people different breaths. And it would take a few times. And again, we can send out kind of these scripts. But the first breath we're going to do together. And I invite you, Casey and Grace Ann, to do it with me. And anybody else who happens to be watching. The first one is called a bunny breath. And this one is kind of funny. And so the script for this one says that you invite everyone to pretend that you are a bunny. And bunnies sometimes sniff the air, see if they can smell other bunnies, parrots, or to see if it's safe, right? And so the idea is that you do 3 quick sniffs with your nose. And then once you do those 3 quick sniffs, like you're smelling the air, then you let one long exhale with your nose. So your mouth doesn't open. You hold it and you let it out your nose.
Okay.
Bunnies can be kind of nervous creatures, actually. Bunnies are my spirit animal. That's kind of another story. But bunnies can sometimes, in like situations, they'll freeze. The thing is, they're actually super quick. So whatever is like scaring them in the moment, they are usually faster than that thing that is scaring them. And if they just like didn't freeze and ran, they'd be fine. But sometimes bunnies are a little overly cautious. So we're going to be like a bunny and we're going to sniff the air to make sure it's safe or if there's any carrots out there. And we're going to hold it and we're going to let it out again. So we're going to do 3 short ones and then let it out. Ready? Hold it and let it out your nose. So that's a bunny. That's a bunny. And that's a really great one if you're feeling really upset. And it's also can feel and look a little bit silly. So a lot of times I'll do that with my daughter. She's getting like really upset about stuff and I'll be like, okay, quick, let's do a bunny breath. And she'll usually end up laughing at the end of it because it's kind of, it's that's okay. That's okay. As long as it gets you out of like that headspace that wasn't serving you and get you to another place that feels a little calmer and more peaceful, then yay, bunny breath.
Okay.
Another one that's super popular. This is something that I just found at like the dollar store. It's like a little flower shaped pinwheel. And you can get them on Amazon as well. They're like really inexpensive. But there's something called a flower breath. And the script goes, imagine smelling a beautiful flower, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, releasing any tension. So this is a wonderful way to connect with your breath and think about how your breath makes you feel. So this is a really fun one too. I brought this to New Jersey before we went to World Games, and I had a bunch of them. And it's fun to just go, okay, so you could kind of pretend like you smell it. And then you blow out with your mouth. Oh, it's not working.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Okay, burn with my nose. So it's fun sometimes to use a prop that you can visually see your breath working. And it's fun to play with, right? So deep cleansing breaths using a flower, but you can also just pretend you're holding a flower, right? So you can pretend you're holding a flower and you smell it with your nose. And you think about how it smells and it smells so good, and then you, or like you're throwing one of those things and it sends everything. Yeah. So that's the flower breath. Then another favorite that I often do is the hissing breath. Have you heard of this one, Gracie?
No, I haven't.
So this is my friend. Sadly, he lost an eye at one point in his life, but he has one good eye. No big deal. And this is my snake that helps me to do the hissing breath. So for the hissing breath, we breathe in through our nose, just like we did with our flower breath. And then we breathe out through our mouth, just like we did with the flower breath. But when we breathe out, we make a hissing noise. So it looks something like this. You go.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, ready? Breathe in through your nose. And breathe out through your mouth. And again, feel a little silly. But if we call it the snake breath and we all do it together, it really is a wonderful way to connect with our breath, which helps relax our nervous system, right?
Okay.
From a state of being like completely anxious or aroused, and then help us to reconnect with our breath, reconnect with the moment, and remember that we can control our breath. We can breathe in through our nose.
Yeah.
We can let it out and hear it. And it's really good. That feels really good.
Yeah.
Katie, I have a question about these. Are these, so we did the bunny, the flower, and the hissing so far. Are these different types of breath exercises that do different things? I think you had said that a little bit. Or should we pick our favorite and try to practice that one a lot?
So it's like we already had planned this conversation. In these scripts that I can share with you, it actually encourages you, after you try a few of these, and I've got maybe 2 or 3 more, to ask whoever you're working with, whether it be a family member, a friend, an athlete, anyone, which ones they like. I mean, it's just like any other practice, right? Like you have some stretches you like, you have some drills that you like when you're practicing basketball or golf or whatever it is. You're going to have some breath work that you prefer, right? So everyone has a favorite. I really like the snake. We're going to do one. We can do this one, the bumblebee. When I first did the bumblebee, I was not a huge fan of it. And you'll tell me what you think. Because this one incorporates not a huge fan of it. You'll tell me what you think. In your ears. So with the bumblebee breath, let me turn to that script. Bumblebee breath, what you do is you close your eyes and you close your ears, but use your fingers to kind of plug your ears. And you inhale through your nose, but then you quietly hum as you exhale, and you're going to feel the vibrations like a buzzing bee in your head. So you breathe in, you close your eyes, and then you breathe out while you hum. It kind of makes my teeth kind of vibrate. And I don't know. I'm like kind of a control person. I'm like, whoa. I don't know how I feel about it. I have learned to like it and appreciate it because a lot of kids do like the buzzing bee. And you can really feel it in your head. But it's not one of my favorite things. But I mean, I get it. Like, while it's like more, you experience it with more senses, right? So a lot of kids do like the bee breath. So with the bee breath, again, you close your eyes, you plug your ears, you breathe in through your nose, and then you breathe out through your nose, but you make a humming noise. So you breathe in. You can see how it can be meditative because there is that like you close your eyes and like you're focusing on that noise that you're making, but it's the vibration that kind of sometimes throws me off. I like it.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Mm-hmm.
And then okay, this is a favorite. Lion. So lion, you're actually supposed to kind of like stand up and actually kind of like do a lion pose. So like you kind of stand with your hips or your legs kind of hip length apart. And you kind of lean over, or you can put your hands on your knees if you want to, like a lion. And let me see my lion script. You breathe in deeply through your nose, and then you lean forward, and you stretch your tongue out as far as you can, and you exhale forcefully and fully. So it kind of sounds like you're roaring. Okay, so I mean, we're doing this with each other. This is weird and fun and funny.
Yes.
Here I am on Facebook Live being a lion. Are we ready? We're going to breathe in through our nose. Ready? We're going to lean forward, stick our tongue out, and I mean, you know, like you do that. You don't know that well, and you're going to be friends for life. I promise.
That's a funny one.
Or they're going to think you're crazy. No. It is a funny one, and kids love that one. That's a great one. Like I said, when I was leading the talent show, that was a great one when like there was like you could feel like the tension in the room, or like maybe it's like, you know, it's a big tournament or it's a big thing, you know, you're going out to play the championship game or whatever. It's a way to kind of diffuse the tension and to remember like we're all human, we're all capable, you know, of making mistakes, or we're all capable of being successful, right? So sometimes it's a great one to just kind of like break the tension and to be like, okay, who wants to come up here and do a lion breath? And everyone starts doing a lion breath and sticking their tongue out, and you kind of let it all out, right? You're kind of letting out all that anxiety or anxious feelings or what have you. So lion breath is a big favorite, and I'm going to admit I like the lion.
Athletes, I'm going to put in the comments to share your favorite breath exercise. So Katie, you can't see the comments, but I'm sharing some things as they come up. So share bunny, flower, hissing snake, humming bee, or lion in the chat. And I'll share them at some point later, kind of what everyone's favorite was, what the consensus was. I think that my favorite is potentially the humming.
Really?
That might be my favorite. Yes.
It's just different things for different people.
Me, I like the hissing and the lion.
Yeah.
We like making the noises. It's like, that vibration feels good. Yeah. Good for the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the bumblebee is kind of strange. I don't like the.
It's very strange.
But they're memorable, right? And you know, it's the kind of thing that if you practice them just a few times, then it can kind of be like your secret code language. Like, hey, do we need to do a bunny breath together? Or hey, we can do, you know, and my daughter's 9 now. So sometimes she'll roll her eyes at me and I'll be like, no, I'm serious. You don't do the bunny breath, then we're going to do a snake. We're going to do something. You know, if you're animal, we're going to do something. And it's helpful to have that shared language, right?
Yeah. So we already heard Rose likes the lion and Charmaine likes the
Rose. Is that Rose Plesko?
Yes.
Hi, Rose.
And Charmaine likes the lion.
Oh, Charmaine, Team Lion. Wonderful. All right, what do we have coming up next? All right, so this was just to kind of give everybody another kind of glimpse at what it would look like in a Special Olympics context. And even since I've, stopped working officially with Special Olympics, there's been some really great additions. So I really encourage everybody to look and kind of see what's out there and what other state programs are doing. I know there's a lot of sharing, especially when people go to like things like Grace Ann was saying, like training camp or any of the tournaments that are in other states. Talk to people and see if they're also doing Strong Minds and they're healthy athletes, and see what they do. Because I had never heard of doing a sensory room, but that's something that at Inner Work Center, we work with some of the public schools and put together meditation rooms, which are essentially the same type of thing. It's just a room where at a Special Olympics event or, just feels like a safe, quiet space where if people need a moment to go have a breath, have a quiet space, do some sort of sensory activity. That's something that I'd never thought about having at any of our games, but I can see how that could be really useful. So that was an idea that I'd never seen before. So there were so many different things. So again, it could be like what we did at World Games, where we had everybody bring their pillow down from, their hotel room, and we, made big circles, and we just had like these moments of breathing together. And again, I had a friend volunteer that was a mindfulness practitioner that was really good at leading the group. But if you don't have somebody to do that, like I said, there's some guided meditations, recordings on the Special Olympics Resources website that you can use that, are appropriate to use with your athletes, with your parents, anytime. You could use it at a staff meeting. It's just a really great way of like having a moment together to like ground and be in the moment and kind of all like calm down together and just have like a really pleasant, peaceful moment. It's a great way to start the day. It's a great way to end the day. It's a great way to start practice. It's a great way to end practice. And increasingly, you'll see it, mindfulness being a tool at all levels of athletic competition. There's colleges that do it. There's high schools that do it. There's elementary schools that do it. There's, pro athletes that do it. So it's not something that's fringe. It's a really helpful tool to have in your toolbox in terms of healthy coping strategies. These are just a couple of testimonials that were actually in an article for EP Magazine. If anybody receives it, that's a great magazine, by the way. It's a digital magazine for parents of exceptional needs children. It has so many great articles, but this particular article was focused on Strong Minds and its research and implementation all over the world. And this was, again, just an idea to start small. It might be making little, key tags, or writing notes, or Grace Ann was mentioning earlier, drawing pictures for one another. You can start small. I mean, a mindfulness activity is anything that brings you a moment of pause or peace to yourself, and the potential to share it or connect with someone else and to support them in their own search for peace or calm. So it could be little stress balls. You might be able to get those donated by a local business. These are some that we obviously had produced that have the Special Olympics logo, but it could be anything. You could make your own stress balls, right? I think you can make them out of balloons and rice or something like that. But start small. It doesn't have to be, 200 people doing a group yoga session in a room with pillows. It can be something that's really very small, and things can kind of grow from there. These are some of the it's called a coach's playbook that, again, is found on the resources site for Special Olympics under Healthy Athletes. These are literally things that you can download and print out as a coach or a post if you guys are able to find a clinical director and put together Strong Minds discipline at Healthy Athletes, whether at a summer games or wherever you might have something like this. But these are some sample stations. And so it literally kind of walks you through it in terms of positive thinking, visualization, and then you'll see it's got a very similar breathing activity to the flower. So everything is there for you in terms of how to map it out. There's sample scripts, like I said. So it's really not hard to implement at all. You can start small. You can use what's already been existing. You can call other programs. I know Delaware does it. I know Texas does it. There's a lot of state programs out there that are producing these types of materials in cooperation with Special Olympics HQ, but there's so many good resources out there. If you're thinking that this is something that you want to get started with, whether it's local or regional or at the state level, there's lots of really fun things you can do with mindfulness because all of the things already exist. You just have to download them and use them.
And I put the link there of I believe that's the right one for Strong Minds on the Special Olympics website. So it's in the comments section. And I know Katie has referenced it a few times. So there it is.
So much good stuff. So much good stuff. These are just a couple of the other things that I found. This is something that was created through the Michael Phelps Foundation, which some of you may be familiar with in Special Olympics. And they're called I'm Healthy cards, and they have all sorts of different strong messages. So again, this is something that you could download and just keep in your room, right? You could just read through them. As a coach, you could read through them with your athletes. There's so many different things. As a parent, you could read through them. They're certainly applicable in a sporting arena, but they're just really good ways to talk about mental health and positive emotional well-being. So I just kind of wanted to point them out. There's all different cards. This is just a sample. And I'll end with this and just reminding everybody that mindfulness, like anything, is a skill. You got to start somewhere. Be kind to yourself. Be curious. It's okay to, there's no right way of doing it. There really isn't. That's what's wonderful about it. And for you to build up a practice, or for you to encourage mindfulness with other members of your family or your team or your Special Olympics program, it's going to take time, right? And you have to be patient sometimes. And you have to be kind to yourself if it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to. And you have to be kind to others and kind of meet them where they are. Like, some people are ready for it and they're all for it and they think it's great and they love it and they're super excited about it. And some people are like, that Buzzy Bee kind of creeps me out. So you just kind of have to be open to whatever happens with what your efforts are. So there's actually a funny video. I know we've been on for our 45-minute allotted time, but if we want to end with this short video, it's something that always kind of gives me a chuckle and reminds me of my own mindfulness journey and practice, and that even in nature, things take time. So I'll leave it at that, and you can kind of cue the video if you'd like to.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. Thank you so much. We'll kick back to you after the video.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Ryan Lagat.
And I'm Craig Tovey.
And welcome to Storytime with Ryan Lagat.
And Craig Tovey.
Remember, if you like what you see, follow us on Instagram.
Or visit our website,
RyanandCraig.com.
You can see all of our read-alouds.
Or send us a message.
Ooh, I have a message.
Craig.
Today's book was sent to us by the author, Ross Burek.
What?
He knows who we are.
Thanks for sending it, Ross, because today's book is
The Very Impatient Caterpillar.
Is It Time Yet?
By Ross Burek.
Let's get started.
He knows who we are.
Yes, Ross Burek.
The Very Impatient Caterpillar.
Is It Time Yet?
By Ross Burek.
Hey, what do you got?
All right. I think we lost sound there for a second, but hold on.
We can always send it out. It's just kind of a funny thing about like wandering minds and, oh my gosh, do I still be patient? It's hilarious. It's really cute.
Yes. Wait, hold on. I think I can actually get it back. I think I know what happened. Let me know.
Okay.
Shit. I have a question.
Not yet.
You don't even know what I was going to ask.
Fine. Ask.
How's your day going? Also, am I a butterfly yet?
No. Just be patient. trying to metamorphosize. Okay. Obviously, I know this. You know how long this takes? 2 weeks. Right. 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
2 weeks? Yeah, that's how long it takes for a caterpillar to become a butterfly.
I have to wait 2 weeks to see this?
No, Ryan, we'll finish the book in like 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Oh my gosh.
This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I want to see this butterfly.
Okay, yeah, but just be patient.
Okay. Patient. There we go. Read the book, Craig. Read it.
Okay, we're doing it.
Patient.
Oh, what am I going to do in here for 2 weeks? Can I get a comic book or something? What if I need the bathroom?
2 minutes later.
Hello? 2 pizzas, please. My address? Chrysalis.
Click.
Hello?
3 minutes later.
Anyone want to play a game? How long have I been in here? It's still day 1?
Day 1.
This is taking forever. That's it. I feel metamorphosized enough. Look out, world. Feast your eyes on this beautiful butterfly. How do I look? Transformed? Time to spread my wings and fly. Wait! Flap, 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 flap. Where are my wings? Splat. Time for a new approach.
See, that's what happens when you aren't patient.
Yeah, he fell right on his face.
So we'll just finish the rest of the book, and hopefully he learns his lesson.
I'm just gonna skip a little bit ahead.
No,
What?
no, we're not skipping ahead. Were you trying to skip to the end of the book?
No. I'm just gonna take a little
No.
quick peek. Just a little.
Ryan,
Just a quick peek.
patient.
Okay, you can do this. You can be patient.
You can transform your life.
Oh, who am I kidding? I can't be patient. You are the little caterpillar that could. I'm the little caterpillar that couldn't. Get a grip. You can. I can't. You can. I can't. You can. I can't. You can. I can't.
You can wait.
I can't.
You can.
I can't.
You can.
I can't. I can't. Can't.
Stop.
Can't.
With the
Okay. Campers.
That's a different word.
I can be patient.
Day 1.
Patience. All in the mind.
Day 2.
Be one with the chrysalis.
Day 3.
Deep breath in
Day 4.
and out.
Day 5.
Look, day 6.
Day 6.
I'm doing it.
Day 7.
Just be patient.
Day 8.
Just be patient.
Day 9. Day 10. Day 11. 2 weeks later.
See, Ryan, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get to see the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, aren't you glad that you learned?
Craig, turn the page.
Okay, that's fair. You've earned it.
I did it. I'm a butterfly. You know, I do feel transformed. Starting now, I'm going to be way more patient.
That's great.
Hey, where are you all going?
We're migrating.
Migrating. Right. Wait for me. Are we there yet?
Ugh. Wow, that book was great.
Yeah, you did a good job being really patient.
I was so patient.
Yeah, you didn't freak out at all.
Nope. Well, I'm going to head on home then.
Brian, we have a couple more books to read.
What? How many?
Yeah, boy. The very impatient caterpillar.
Is it time yet?
No, that was actually like they were having their own mindful moment. Like, did you see like there were moments when they were like supporting one another or trying?
Yes.
Like the
Yeah.
people reading the story and the actual caterpillar. Like you had a friend being like, you can't. You know, and like it took time, right? And it was hard. And times he was good at it. Maybe times he wasn't so good at it. But it worked out. You know, it worked out the way it was supposed to. But then what was it? There was another challenge. You know, so like that's I don't know. I really relate to that because I am a very impatient caterpillar. But I also feel like, you know, a lot of people ask me to talk about mindfulness. So like I must be doing something right, you know? Definitely still a work in progress. so far from perfecting anything about mindfulness, but it's a tool in my toolbox. And that's what I hope it is for, the rest of you that are maybe still listening. I have no idea.
They are. Yes. People are here. You just can't see them.
But it can be fun. It can be
Yeah.
serious. It can be life-changing. It can be something that you try in a moment in time. You just kind of have to be open to the possibilities.
I love that. I think that video was so great and goes along so well with what you were talking about. And I actually had a question before the video, but I feel like the video is so perfectly exemplifies my question, because I feel like we've talked a bit about different ways of doing mindfulness. And I think sometimes it can seem like there is one way to do mindfulness, or that it is something really specific. Like if you're starting to feel upset or worried or stressed, that you have to, you have to bring someone in on that, like find a friend to do some, breath work or talk that through with, or on the other end, that you would have to retreat and maybe go be by yourself or something. But it seems like the reality and what we saw from the video is that really it's both and, some people might want to, if it's a special Olympics practice and an athlete's feeling stressed about their day before they start practice or whatever, they want to find a close buddy on the team to connect with, and maybe do a breath work, or maybe just tell them that they're stressed. That works for one athlete, but maybe someone else would want to say, hey, I'm going to take a minute and get a drink of water and be kind of by myself or in the hallway. And then I'll come come back on the court in a minute. And that both are great examples of mindfulness, and they just look really different though on the outside. Am I getting that right?
You're getting it. For me, the way I entered it was very much like, I think I needed to take the MBSR class, and I needed to understand the science, because I wasn't really willing at the time to accept that there might be something wrong with the way that I was feeling. Like that I needed help in figuring out like why I was so stressed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was the last one to realize this, because apparently everybody else around me was like, yeah, that you should really do that. So just do it. If you're curious, just do it. But I will say, for me, I'm kind of nerdy. Like when I worked at Special Olympics, I was like the girl that loves strategy, like I'm weird. I kind of needed to understand the science behind it, but not everyone's that way. So like find exactly what makes you curious or interests you. Some people love certain apps. You can use the Calm app. You can use, and like in the same way that like you'll listen to some person's voice, like, and that's doing a meditation and they're great. Like one of the greatest in the world. I can't believe I'm saying this and it's being recorded. Tara Brach is like the end all be all of mindfulness, and her voice creeps me out. Like I don't dig her meditations. I love her work. Don't get me wrong. She's wonderful. But everybody's going to kind of find their thing.
Yeah. That's so insightful. Grace Ann, I feel like we've been chatting a bit and want to give you an opportunity to share any reflections you have on the video, or anything that Katie has said if you have questions.
Well, it reminds me of a book that I read when I was a kid called A Little Engine That Could. You remember that one, Katie? I think I can. That video reminds me of that.
Because it's a mantra. It's a positive mantra. It's
right.
visualizing success. You are absolutely, once again, Grace Ann, on the money. Yes, that is absolutely an example of a positive mantra that can get you through a moment that is either you perceive it to be hard, or it really is physically hard in the case of the engine.
I thought those two guys were kind of silly together. Those two.
Yes, they were silly. They were
silly together because they were both butt heads, I think. And the story was so interesting, but it was kind of interesting story. But that caterpillar should just stayed in his cocoon and waited patiently for being a butterfly. He was so dumb to come out and then go back in.
It probably ended up taking him a little bit longer, but it worked out, right?
Yeah.
It worked out. He just needed to let nature.
Like I tell people, well, I did a video maybe, let's see, it was couple weeks ago before I was inducted to the Hall of Fame with Lane Castaneda, and I told him, try, if you can't learn a new sport, try again to see if you can try something else. So that's what I've been doing, teaching people to try something new. If they can't do it, just try it again. So,
and honestly, there's a lot of research that shows there's a concept called neuroplasticity. And if you meditate, your brain actually develops new gray matter. Like it's not something that like just feels good. It literally is good for your brain to take meditative pauses and to develop practice if it's something that works for you. It is, I mean, if you need a reason, that's a great reason. Like you're literally growing different parts of your brain.
Yeah.
Paige, I need all that I can get, you know?
Yeah.
But like you said, trying new things, stretching yourself, allowing yourself to risk failing, you know? Again, you can't fail in meditation. It's just being quiet with yourself.
Yeah, like trying what I do right before a golf tournament, like playing, like listening to some music or reading a book or playing some games right before a golf tournament or a basketball tournament or a swim meet or something will help these athletes to make themselves feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just about accepting and finding quiet moments get you to a better place.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I agree.
Not surprised that we're getting all of this great advice from such a golf pro. I feel like someone that is really good at golf has had a lot of practice being patient, believing that they can, and persevering on the golf course. It's a long game and one that takes a lot of patience. So just thank both of you, Katie and Grace Ann, for taking the time and for all that you shared from all of your experiences and your education. So that was great. I linked, we don't have any, let me check again, but we don't believe we had any questions in the chat. Lots of comments, but no final questions. And so, yeah, we just thank everyone for joining. And I did put all of the resources that Katie shared in the chat, but I'll also follow up. We'll make sure that those get out to folks as reminders too. So we really appreciate it. Appreciate your all's time.
Thank you, guys. I had so much fun being with you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.